All right, hello. Welcome everybody to our APCSA checklist webinar. Feel free as you're joining if you want to put kind of introduce yourself in the chat, where you're logging in from, you know, anything you said about the school year, teaching experience, really any fun details. Feel free to throw them in the chat and introduce yourself, and we'll get started with the main event here shortly. But we're super excited you all decided to join us this afternoon for this APCSA checklist. So again, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. We're super excited you all are here, and we'll introduce ourselves and get rolling here in a second. Welcome, Kathy. I'm also going to add to the chat the link to these slides if you want to follow along with us. You should be able to use that link right there that's in the chat to get in. And you can follow along with us as we go through. Because it's going to be a quick 45 minutes. We're going to get you set up for the year of APCSA. Awesome. So we got Parsippany, Brooklyn, Patterson. If it's Patterson, New Jersey, that's where my mom is from. So I love Patterson, New Jersey. And again, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat, and we'll get ourselves introduced here in about we'll start at 3:33 with we'll give people a few more times to a few more seconds to kind of come into the call here. And again, I did put the link in the chat. It is at codehs.com/APCSA checklist. If you want to follow along with the slides, you'll be able to have that ready to roll. All right, and feel free to keep introducing yourself in the chat. But we'll go ahead and get started so we can get through our lovely 45-minute presentation on AP Computer Science A here today. So my name is Steve. I am a PD specialist with CodeHS. Before coming to CodeHS as a PD specialist, I was a computer science teacher for 11 years. I taught in Washington, D.C. for 9 years. I've been in Houston, Texas for the last 2 years. And yeah, I used CodeHS in my classroom. I loved teaching APCSA. It was one of my favorite classes to teach. And I'm extremely excited to be going over our new Cortado course with you all today and getting you ready for the year. And with me is my colleague Christopher, who I'll let introduce himself here as well.
Good afternoon. Christopher Evans, former classroom teacher, taught APCSA for a few years. And so excited to be here and help you get navigate these new CSA standards and this new outline.
Yeah, and that's a lot of what we're going to cover today is that new information about Cortado. Just kind of making sure you know everything you need to get started. We will have the Q&A set up too if you have any questions about anything that comes up, but we are super excited to go over kind of CodeHS's, really the new AP exam framework in general, but also the new curriculum and get you set up for the year. So here is our agenda. And again, the slides you can get from that link right there, which is in the chat as well. I will re-add it to the chat in case anyone came in late. But we're going to start by talking about the course updates and then give you a few resources for pacing, because again, this is if you've taught APCSA for years, they switched the units from 10 to 4. That's the biggest change. So we're going to kind of talk about College Board's recommendations for pacing from that. We'll go over how to submit course audit. It's very easy if you're using the CodeHS Cortado course. We'll also talk about CodeHS's AP resources for you, and then we'll finish by just going over the exam and talking about resources we have for preparation there as well. Again, you can follow along with these slides at the link that is in the chat, codehs.com/APCSA-checklist. Feel free to ask any questions in the Q&A as well. That's the easiest way to get your question answered. Christopher is going to be monitoring that as we work through the presentation here. So if anything comes up, feel free to put in that Q&A right there. That's definitely going to be a more effective way to get your question answered than the chat because, like I said, Christopher is monitoring that Q&A and we'll make sure the questions get answered there as well. And if you have not ever logged into CodeHS, you're here for the first time, welcome. You can make a CodeHS account at codehs.com/sign up. It's very easy to do. So again, I'll just put that in the chat. If you are new to CodeHS, this is your first time and you've not made an account yet, you can make your free teacher account right there at the link that's in the chat. And if you are a CodeHS teacher and you have an account already, definitely feel free to log in if you want to follow along with anything I'm modeling on your screen as well. All right, a quick overview of what CodeHS is if it's your first time ever joining us. We are a comprehensive platform for teaching computer science. We have a elementary curriculum called CodeHop. We have middle school curriculum, and we have high school curriculum, all the way up from intro classes to AP Computer Science A and beyond. We have an entire K-12 web-based computer science curriculum. All of our materials are online. You do not need any extra plugins or downloads. It's all browser-based. K-12 computer science curriculum. We have online professional development, which you are participating in right now, as well as offline professional development. And we do have a full software platform with teacher tools and resources. We're going to cover a few of those resources today and letting you know specifically some of the AP ones we have for you. Some of our tools that we have and we offer, we are our own IDE, and we do have an instant feedback and submission system. So students submit their work on CodeHS, you give feedback through them right through there. We also have grading and tracking tools that you can do all your grading right here on our platform as well, and then export to an LMS. And we are an all web-based platform. Again, nothing additional is needed beyond just the CodeHS website for you and your students. All right, so again, if you have any questions at any point, feel free to put them in the Q&A. But I'm going to go ahead and get rolling with the main event with the 2025 course updates. So the new AP CSA course is, we name all of our AP CSA, all of our Java courses Cortado, or we name all of them coffee beverages. So the one we had Mocha, our Java course is Latte, we had Nitro, we now have Cortado. It is a equal parts espresso and warm milk drink that you can see modeled there in the bottom, in the top right-hand corner of the screen. But the main event besides the name is that we have structured this course to align entirely with the College Board units. Again, College Board changed their units from 10 to 4. So we have made a course that also has 4 units. In addition, nearly all of the lessons are new. Some have been modified from the old courses, but mostly it's 100% new to align to the new exam. It also has been approved by College Board already. So whatever you're using our Cortado course, you can be confident it's College Board endorsed and approved. We've expanded some of the exercises and updated examples. We're really excited about that. We've embedded a lot more of kind of students having to, we've embedded activities called Prim into our course. You may have seen them already if you've started your year. We've added things called explorations where students actually have to kind of predict, run, investigate, and modify those code examples just to give you a little bit more of really like another way to kind of work through that code with your students and kind of enhance the learning and up the rigor that we know is important for AP Computer Science. We'll talk about the Prim examples in a bit. There's a deeper integration of computer science pedagogy. Like I said, we're making the students do a lot more thinking about the code. They're trying different things and really kind of hitting on a lot of the pedagogical teaching tips that we know is important for computer science education. And then one thing we've added to the course this year too is mid-unit and end-of-unit assessments for each of the 4 units that include FRQs. So that I think is super useful, is that students will be able to do free response questions when they're doing the unit assessments as well. So they'll be getting a lot of practice, not just towards the end of the exam, but each time they do, at least twice per unit, they'll be getting free response practice as well, um, which I think is super cool. And I'm going to show you kind of a little bit of where those are. Give me a second to get to my course. So just to show you where those mid-unit, end-of-unit assessments are, in each unit towards the bottom, you will see a mid-unit assessment and an end-of-unit assessment. They are towards the bottom because each of our lessons matches up exactly with College Boards. So College Boards 1.1 is our 1.1. College Boards 1.10 is our 1.10, which is why our mid-unit and end-of-unit assessments are by default at the end of each unit. You can move them. Our curriculum is fully customizable. The syllabus tells you when you would want to do the mid-unit assessment, but it's at the bottom of the lesson so that these numbering topics still align with College Board's numbering system as well, so that you can easily find the AP Classroom resources that match each topic you're doing. Hopefully that makes sense. But each unit has a mid and end of unit assessment that have an MCQ part and an FRQ part. So you're getting a lot of exam prep with this course, at least twice per unit. Perfect. Thank you. I was like, I think I'm explained okay, but it's good to know. So, and you'll find that with the course, and each of those 4 units has those, which I think we're super excited about those. So again, you can find the course if you've not actually checked it out yet at all. You can go to the course overview. Christopher just put it in the chat, and you can get to the course from there. Um, you can also get to the syllabus from here is from that link as well. So I'll bring that up really quick. So the syllabus, you'll be able to find really everything you need for kind of the overview of it, including some suggestions on pacing for each unit. As well as, like I mentioned, it tells you when you would want to use those mid-unit and end-of-unit assessments and what content's covered on there. So again, you can find the course overview from there if you've not yet assigned it, and you can get the course set up from here. But we'll be talking a little bit more about the course and the syllabus in these upcoming slides. And our course is a full year-long course, so it's designed to be that, so you have enough material to last you the entire year. Like we said, College Board has shifted their curriculum and framework to 10 units, from 10 units to 4 units. So a couple changes they made. They have removed the topic of inheritance, which was Unit 9, from the exam entirely. And they have made 1.8 and 1.10, or 1.8 and 10 combined in. Recursion was a unit which is now included in, it's not been removed from the exam, but it is in the data collections unit, so it is in Unit 4. They have also added some new topics, text files, and data sets to get students more aligned with what's currently taught at college level computer science and real world applications. Those are all in Unit 4 as well, those data sets and text files. So Unit 4, you'll find recursion plus the new topics that have been added. The other 3 units are very straightforward. It's kind of just combines a lot of the other units. So we start with using objects and methods, then we move to selection and iteration. We end in class creation. They're obviously working with classes in these other ones, but actually creating the class, making a lot of methods, constructors, all that happens in Unit 3. And then Unit 4 is data collections, arrays, array lists, 2D arrays, and like I said, those new topics of text files and data sets, and the old topics such as recursion that no longer has its own unit, but has been combined into there. And at any point, if you have questions, I'll definitely let you ask in the Q&A. I'm going to be done with kind of the curriculum overview in a second too, and I'll in a second here too, and I'll pause there. We have supplemental modules as well. So if you are looking at the course, down at the bottom, you will see that we have supplemental materials that you can assign directly to your course. These are a lot of the labs that College Board recommends, and we'll talk about the labs here in a second as well. But they're very easily assigned directly from the supplemental materials section of your course. So in addition to the 4 units, if you want to add these labs to prep for the FRQs that College Board recommends, you can easily assign them to your course from here. as well as a pre-test, a post-test, some more AP test practice. We have a lot of supplemental materials you can use down here. Um, Peter, yes, to your question, the textbook is going to be updated at some point this school year. It's not updated yet, but the textbook will be updated at some point this school year. For right now, like the topics are all still there. It just isn't in the 4 units. It's just in the 10 unit um, model. But yes, that's the supplemental materials, which again can be easily added with one click. There's a few other kind of extra things we recommend adding too, like review courses, which we'll talk about here in a bit. Um, but I just want to, again, this is just a big picture, and I'll pause here in case you have any other questions about the new curriculum. Um, the College Board gave us those updates and consolidated the units. And so this is kind of, if you're looking for like a bottom line, these are the changes to the course this year. I have a slide for the online textbook in a bit that we'll be able to see, but it is accessible from the digital textbooks on the left-hand side as well. Under curriculum, if you go to digital textbooks, that's where you'll be able to find that. What questions might you have about the curriculum? Any changes to the course? The exams changed slightly, which we'll talk about in a bit, but wanted to make sure if there's any questions about kind of the changes to the curriculum, um, we'd love to answer them now, or we can kind of keep going. And if they come up, feel free to put them in the Q&A. Okay, so again, now that was what the exams changed. Here's what's really up with our course and what kind of some updates we've made here. So it's more than just an update. This is an entire new course, 4 units with almost all new materials. We have new organization. We have new activities and exercises that have not been done in courses before, which we're really excited about. We've also embedded just actual pedagogy into the course. So we've embedded into the examples something called the PRIM method. So I'll just show you very quickly what these look like. You'll see in a lot of these activities, in a lot of the lessons, you'll see something called an exploration. And what those look like are, you'll see in the example code an investigate.txt file with questions for students to answer as they are going through the code. So these are great activities to do with your class. They follow the PRIM method, which is predict, run, investigate, modify, and then the make would be you're taking this example code and you're using it on the next exercise to make something similar. But we're really excited about these activities because it really just, again, puts the emphasis on student processing of the code and being able to internalize and explain it, and also being able to understand what happens if they make some changes. We do a lot of investigating misconceptions and errors in these questions. Like you'll see, like showing them what happens if they remove quotation marks around a string, which we know is a very common misconception and error students might make the first time they're typing in Java. So these are in every lesson. You'll find an exploration activity that has an investigate.txt file. Again, these are similar to the coding examples, but with an added bonus of your students can go through these activities and it gives you something to teach with them. It gives them something to internalize as they're moving on their own. I love the modifying part too, and that's what the auto graders are picking up. They actually have to go ahead and investigate is kind of some small changes, but the modify is I want you to add this to the code. What functionality do you need to add in order for the code to do this? And it's kind of a really cool experience to do in class. And I'm glad to see in the chat some of y'all are loving the prim activities. I think they're awesome to do, and they've been so fun for me to work through. And every time I get to work with teachers on them, they're pretty cool activities to do. So you'll find these explorations in each of the curriculum, in each of the units. We've also added just more kind of notes, which I'll see if I can get any of those. But we have added notes more periodically. Yeah, here you go. So these interactive notes with kind of embedded code for you to talk about. Anytime there's like a particular coding concept, sometimes we have these notes with an actual, like we know the scanner buffer problem is is one that also is a common misconception and error right away for students. So again, we have a note breaking it down that you can work through with your students as well. So you'll find those embedded again. They're just designed to be more kind of pedagogy and rigor in your class. We've also added more simulations and tutorials into your curriculum as well. And again, I showed you earlier, every unit has a mid-unit assessment and an end-of-unit assessment that is very AP style, includes multiple choice, includes FRQs. We're making sure they're doing a lot of practice for that exam as they go through the course. So we're really excited about a lot of these things that we've added to the course and definitely like love hearing the feedback on them because a lot of these things are new to any CodeHS course. So again, as you're working through them, like please let us know and what you're thinking because we're very excited about this new course and some of the potential tools we put in it. All right, I'm going to get us to course pacing here in a second. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A. And we'll hopefully get some more answers as we go through or something might come to you. The Q&A is there. We're happy to answer them. So before talking about specific course pacing of like the actual unit timelines, definitely worth mentioning the important AP-CSA dates. And these just follow the AP-CSA school year timeline. But if you've taught AP before, you know the College Board dates are very specific. And you have some time for a lot of these, but they will sneak up on you. So making sure all students have joined AP Classroom by November 14th. The preferred registration date is October 3rd. But again, by November 14th, that's the final deadline. For course audit, your preferred submission deadline, and the quicker you get course audit done, the quicker you get access to the AP Classroom material. So it's while you have a lot of time to get the course audit situated, like the sooner you do it, the quicker you get access to AP Classroom. October 15th is the preferred submission and renewal deadline. And then January 31st, 2026 is the absolute final deadline for you submitting your AP course audit materials to College Board. We'll go over AP course audit in a bit if you're new to it and need help getting started with that. You probably all know this already, but the AP CSA exam, I believe that's the last date in the AP exam calendar, last date and time slot this year for AP CSA. Friday, May 15th at 12 p.m. local time is when the exam is. So I think it's the last day of the 2-week period. So enjoy the bonus week of instruction for AP CSA this year. But those are the important AP CSA dates from College Board. So again, we'll talk about our course pacing here with the Cortado course in a second, but these are the important like College Board deadlines have to meet, have to accomplish. So when planning pacing for the year, all of our pacing we take directly from College Board. Again, that was the advantage to having our lessons match up directly with their lessons. Is that if they say to spend a certain amount of time on casting and range of variables 1.5, ours matches up with that as well. So the AP-CSA course and exam description, if you've not spent time there, on the unit at a glance pages has recommendations for how long those days should take. So you should spend 29 days on unit 1, 26 days on unit 2, 18 on unit 3, and unit 4 is the big one. So that's 45 days for unit 4. So almost twice as long as the other ones. We have pacing suggestions built into our syllabus. So if you're wondering how long to spend on a specific unit, the syllabus is a great way of checking out when these should be done. So you can see we make our recommendations and also by weeks. Again, we know everyone has different 90-minute block schedule, 45-minute daily, 55-minute daily. But these would be the amount of hours you should be thinking of spending on those topics. And then in terms of the College Board labs, so if you are looking at and we will put this in the chat, but it's going to come up later too. But in terms of the College Board recommended labs, these are, if you are looking at our lab course, we tell you when you should use each lab on this overview page. So you can see from here, the receipt lab is from College Board, and that's recommended to be done after Unit 1 in Cortado. So after the students have done Unit 1, That's a great time to throw the receipt lab into the curriculum. Um, the Magpie lab would be unit 2. And so we have the recommendations for each of these labs as to when students can do them. And you can assign them, again, these are the supplemental materials as well, but you can assign them from the lab course overview too. You can get to this in the course catalog, um, and you'll be able to do that. They are not written referenced inside Cortado specifically, but this tells you exactly, again, from the overview page, it tells you exactly when you can assign them because they are like the supplemental labs that College Board recommends. So they are not specifically written inside Cortado. You have to assign them to your course. But again, they are down here at the bottom. So you can one click here and it's in your course. And that overview page tells you when you would want to add them to your course. And then one other resource that we on the PD team have made. So based off of College Board's recommendations, again, the pacing suggestions are in the pacing suggestions from College Board are in the course and exam description. They're in our syllabus. But if you want to actually see kind of like a visual calendar, again, this is just College Board's recommendations, but thrown onto a calendar. Um, feel free to bookmark this and use it. Um, it's a calendar that lets you alternate between 45-minute daily class periods and 90-minute block class periods. Again, I know that doesn't cover everyone's teaching situation, but um, hopefully these are helpful for at least figuring out kind of from those two starting points. Again, this is exactly how long College Board says to spend on each topic. So all we did was put it in a weekly calendar for you, but these are just the same recommendations from College Board and the syllabus. One feature you can use also on this is if you are, let's say you're absent or missing a day, or there's, a school event. If you click the day, it automatically adjusts the calendar for you. So you can kind of play around with it for anything that might come up in your school year. We've also linked all the supplemental material we recommend down here as well on this pacing calendar. So it's just a handy resource to have for you as you're figuring out your year. Uh, in total, this ends up being around 29, 30 weeks, which should give you some time to review for the exam and use these materials as well. So again, I put the link to that in the chat. This is just College Board's recommendations, but thrown into a calendar for you. So if you would like to use this resource as a starting point for your planning, you definitely can. And again, the best place, this, we don't assume any start date. It's just going off of however, like week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. We know that we start kind of whenever. So it's, we schools start at all different times. So our recommendations just start at week 1. So whenever you are starting, this is what, if you were following College Board's pacing recommendations, this might be what your first week looks like, if that makes sense, Chris. We don't have specific dates in there. I did want to go to the syllabus, which I had up here, because it follows those recommendations as well. Again, it's just saying your first 6 to 7 weeks of the school year are going to probably be spent on Unit 1. Your first 20 to 25 hours, or your next 20 to 25 hours would be Unit 2. So again, we don't have a specific start date for the school year. We're not saying on this date you're doing this. The pacing is just week by week for, week 6 of the school year. This might be what you want to be doing. But the syllabus is a great resource for this as well. That has all of the different kind of explanations of the units, and again, pacing suggestions and just when to use AP Classroom. A lot of good information in the syllabus that we definitely recommend checking out. Again, we had put the link for the labs in the chat earlier, but this is an extra course from our course catalog. So any of the labs you just would assign to your main course, or you can create a new course with it. But if you click Explore Course, you can assign and preview the labs from here. Again, the labs are not currently in Cortado. You need to assign them, but you can assign them at any point, really at any point, but we recommend when you would want to do them on the lab overview page. Our labs will get you about 50 contact hours. The recommendation from College Board is that the requirement from College Board is they complete a minimum of 20 hours in class. our Cortado course actually has more than 20 hours of labs built in. So these ones would be supplemental for you. Um, but you are welcome to put them into your course as well. Again, completing Cortado will fulfill all the lab hour requirements students need because we do have labs built into the curriculum. However, these supplemental labs can be assigned. Again, the lab overview tells you when you might want to do that so that you can find out the best place to use them in your course. So again, the lab required from College Board is 20 hours. Cortado will fulfill that, but you are welcome to add the supplemental labs as well. These are the labs that are in that lab course. The ones with a star by them come from College Board, and then the other ones are kind of some of our made up, our own ones that we have added for you as well that are just extra practice for students as well. So if you have some time before the exam, these are great ones to do, these kind of extra ones. All right, I'll pause here. What questions might you be having? If there's anything you want to put in the Q&A, I see some stuff in the chat. But before we get to the course audit part, if you have any questions, I'm going to get through course audit and our resources kind of pretty quickly. I know the bulk of it was what we just covered before our 4:15 p.m. Central Time stopping point.
Steve, we did have one question in the
Yeah.
Q&A that I answered, but I'm going to address it for the whole group.
Yep.
There was some confusion on some terminology. Cortado is the overall course. That is the name of the overall course. The labs, the exam review, all the other things are content within the course. The labs are not their own course. The exam review is not its own course. Cortado is the whole course, and then those pieces are all content within the course that can be used to supplement the base curriculum. So I hope that alleviates any confusion on some terminology.
Yeah, thank you, Christopher. And the other thing I'll show you too, just to I see some suggestions on pacing and kind of adjusting the material. I will show you too, if you've not used a CodeHS curriculum before, every one of our lessons comes with a lesson plan that if you scroll down, shows you timestamps for the activities. So you can kind of see how long each activity is going to take on each topic. And as you are adjusting or compressing or extending, like I found these timestamps to be super useful when I was a teacher for just how I wanted to kind of go through my day and how much time I spent on each activity and a topic too. So in addition to all the pacing suggestions we give you, if you view any lesson plan, you can see the timestamps as well as a whole bunch of other awesome resources for how long each activity in the lesson should take as well. I'm going to get started with going on over course audit, but if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A and we'll keep going. So again, course audit, if it's your first time teaching APCSA, one of the most important things you're going to do is submit a course audit to College Board where it approves your curriculum and syllabus. It is very easy for you because if you are using the CodeHS Cortado curriculum, we are already approved. Our syllabus is actually already on the College Board course audit website where you just click it and it updates it for you. So again, the course audit resource it's pretty straightforward what to follow. But when you're doing it, we do have this CodeHS course audit form for guidance that we'll make sure goes in the chat. But if you click that, it just gives you the steps to follow. Again, our syllabus is already on there. So all you need to do is say CodeHS is your curriculum. We are an endorsed curriculum. Our Cortado syllabus is approved. You can just submit the syllabus and it will work. It'll work from there. Definitely recommend if you doing this sooner rather than later because that's when you get access to AP Classroom and you can start leveraging the resources in there. The preferred deadline is October 15th, and the has to happen is January 31st. All right, I want to show you our CodeHS resources because if you're new to CodeHS or you maybe didn't know all these things were there, or if you never had APCSA before, we have a lot of resources in addition to Cortado, the labs, the review course. We have a lot of resources built in too. And the best place to find these is from our APCSA resource hub. So I'm going to click it, but I will show you where you can get to it. If you are on the left-hand side, it is, if you scroll down to AP Hub on the left-hand side under curriculum, you will join our AP Hub app. If you teach APCSP, we have APCSP resources here as well. But here's where we can get to a lot of the links, a lot of the stuff we've kind of talked about already. So I'm going to highlight a few of these, and the slideshow will also kind of walk you through them too, but I'm going to highlight a few of these. One is one of my favorites is question of the day. If you go to question of the day, your students can subscribe here and they get an email with the question of the day. You can do this on the board with them to start class. Students can also take it on their own from question of the day on the left-hand side. Students will actually be, it's QOTD, there it is. Students can also access question of the day from their left side menu. So you can direct students to there to do it. You can actually see their progress. You can't assign the questions of the day to the course, but if you go to that, you'll be able to see who answered the question of the day, their progress, heat maps for which ones were, answered really well or not answered really well, but that's all under the question of the day that you can see. So just a great resource we built in, and if students subscribe, it goes directly to their inbox. You can also just direct students to their left-hand menu to go to it as well. The textbook was a question earlier, but you can get to it from the AP Hub here. Again, it will be updated. Right now, it's the old curriculum, the 10 units, but you can still find the topic that you're covering and use the resources for now, but the textbook will be updated. One of my favorite resources in here is the FRQ Center. This is where you can get, even beyond the curriculum, more practice FRQs. So in the FRQ Center, the FRQs have changed slightly. We'll talk about that in a second, but you can actually view, really only one FRQ has changed slightly, FRQ3. But you can use old FRQs for practice. You can use new ones. We have one for each FRQ in there already. And what you can do that I think is cool is you can assign it directly from here. You can also try it, and you can make it text only like the exam. Or if you want to do it for practice from the FRQ Center, you can make it a runnable exercise as well, where it has, students can actually see what happens with their code when they press run. Again, on the exam, they won't be able to do that because it's text only, but our FRQ Center has options for you, as well as the scoring guides, questions if you want to print it out for them, like a lot of good stuff here in the FRQ Center, including old FRQs, and again, one of each type for this year already. In addition, in the APCSA Hub, we have practice problems for Java. You can get to this from the left-hand side as well if you go to practice, but these are just great extra opportunities for you to add to your curriculum. If you would like, you have some students that are flying through it and you want to give them some more practice. We have by so many topics in here, as well as different difficulty levels. You can see we have level 1 strings questions plus level 2 strings questions. So just some cool options for you. If you teach another course, we have practice for all 5 of these languages, but the Java one would be super useful for your APCSA experience. I believe I just covered all of those. So we'll get to exam overview and preparation. But again, the APCSA Resource Hub is from the left-hand side, AP Hub. We also link the lab, some projects, and some tutorials too that are really useful. These are assignable to your class as well if you would like to use these. In addition to articles and webinars, so just awesome, awesome place to go if you're teaching either of our AP classes. I am going to get through the exam overview and preparation because that should be I think the last thing we're going to cover, just to talk about the exam changes. So if you have any questions, I think I covered, put it in the Q&A. But with our last 6 minutes here, I'm going to make sure we cover the exam overview. So slight changes to the exam. If you've taught the APCSA before, it used to be an even 50-50 split between the two sections. Multiple choice is now weighted slightly more, 55% to 45%. They added 2 more multiple choice questions. So went from 40 to 42. That's where the extra weight comes in. They have an equal amount of time for each section. And there are 4 FRQ questions. You don't know what they're going to ask, but you do know the topic of each FRQ question. So you'll know, and there are FRQ centers, you can practice one specifically on these topics. The one change they made to the FRQ topics, FRQ3 used to cover arrays and array lists. It is now just array lists. For the multiple choice part, one big change they made is it used to be 5 answer choices for each question. It's now 4. So that shrunk as well. So again, it's 42 questions, went from 5 choices to 4 choices. You'll see that all of our AP exam practice questions in our course have already been updated to 4 questions. Here's the weighting of the top of the units for the multiple choice section. So you can see again, we showed you unit 4 is the one that you spend the most time in. It is the heaviest weighted one as well. Same with the computational thinking practices. The number one thing they're doing is analyze code, which is why we threw those prim activities into the course, because that's where they're doing that code analysis. So again, that's the multiple choice section, 42 questions, 55% of the exam score, and they have 90 minutes to do those 42 questions. So almost a pretty even 2 minute per question pace if you want to think of it that way. The free response is also 90 minutes. They have 4 questions, so about 20, 23 minutes for each one. It's 45% of the exam score. And again, you do not know the FRQ prompts, but you do know that the question topics, and they'll kind of follow a similar structure to the exam. So in FRQ1, they're always making a method that's going to involve a control structure. In FRQ2, they're doing class design. They'll make a constructor. They'll make different parts of the class instance variables. FRQ3, they're going to be doing something with an array list that's going to be analyzing the data in the array list. And FRQ4 is going to deal with a 2D array. There are specific points that they earn on each one, and you can find kind of the scoring guides as well when you get in there. The overview of the APCSA exam is the sample free response questions. Like if you go to the CED, you can see the examples. They have one of each type already built into the course and exam description. So definitely recommend going there. I screenshotted some of the first one, but you can see they're making a constructor, they're making a method. So it's just, do they know how to write a method? And some of those methods are going to use control. At least one of the methods is going to use a control structure. That will be part of the first one. So you'll see things like this. And then also in the course and exam description, you are going to get the point guidelines for what they're looking for. And again, the AP exam will not specifically ask you about the message builder class, but they will be doing something similar where they're writing the constructor, they're writing a method. So it'll show you what they're looking for. So you can practice these with your students, and our FRQs have the scoring guides as well. So you can say, hey, when you're writing the constructor, the methods, like making sure you're doing these things, right? Making the calls correctly, building the message correctly. If there's a loop, incrementing a count, like making sure they're doing that, right? And also showing the decision rules for each one, which is super useful as well. So you'll see the scoring guidelines that is in the course and exam description for each of these, but any FRQ we added to our course, we have provided the scoring guidelines. You saw that in the FRQ center as well. So one thing to point out too, when you look at the FRQs in the course exam description, and again, that document's super useful to spend time on. You'll see the errors to ignore, and so this is what it's giving guidelines to graders for what errors to not take into consideration. So they can make these errors and they're still fine. So you can see that syntax is far less important than actual conceptual understanding of programming. So even if you make 1 equal sign and 2 equal signs, like they're ignoring that error. If they understood that they needed to make a statement that was assigning a variable or checking, like that's what they're actually looking for in these FRQs. That's how they earn the points. Just to quickly show you where you can find the exam review material in our platform. If you are going to the course catalog and you search review, you can find our review courses for the AP course. Again, similar to the labs, you need to add these to your Cortado course, but we have practice problems and quizzes for each unit, as well as practice FRQ questions and practice multiple choice exams as well. So if you go to the course catalog and click review, you will be able to find our review course there. And it's also linked in this slideshow. I can put in the chat if you wanted to kind of pull it up and check it out later. But that, again, it's like similar to the labs. And as Christopher explained, you do need to um, make sure that you add them to your course. The rest of our slideshow kind of covers AP Classroom. And again, there are a lot of great resources on here. There are videos if you've never used it. There are progress checks and quizzes. AP Classroom tells you when you can use the progress checks. You also can create your own assessments as well. Again, our topics follow College Board's topics exactly. So our 1.5 is their 1.5. Our 2.9 is their 2.9. So you can always find supplemental questions there for whatever CodeHS Cortado lesson you are teaching. I'll leave with a reminder of the key dates, and then that should bring us right up to the end here. So Christopher did just put in the chat. I know we went right up to the bell with our APCSA overview. So thank you for it was a fast 45, but thank you for listening. We do have a survey. Feel free to fill it out. Let us know anything we can do better the next time we do this. We also have an attendance link for you. Again, I know I sped through some of the AP Classroom stuff at the end, but the slides are available for you. If you have questions, you can put them in the Q&A, but we are super excited for you all to be teaching this Cortado course and using something that we're excited about. And so if there's ever anything we can do, please let us know. Reach out to our support team. If you are logged into CodeHS, the attendance link should work. Yes, the recording will be sent out. And again, you have that slideshow link as well. It should just be that you click it and it brings up, oh, it did not. Maybe I was logged out of CodeHS. We can check that really quick. The survey link should be working. Christopher just put an updated link in the chat. If you want to click that one, that should work for you as well. And it's not a form to fill out. It will just bring up a thank you screen. So it might look like it didn't work, but it will be perfect. Thank you. It might look like it didn't work, but if you click that link that was just in the chat, that should bring up that Chris put in the chat. That should bring up the attendance link as well. It'll look like this when you click it. Yes, the links will work in another hour as well. They should, right, Christopher? Will they the workshops? Yeah, they'll still be working for you. Yep.
And I did want to address one thing while y'all are filling out the surveys and everything on pacing. One of the benefits of our platform is it is web-based, so there's no software or anything for the students to install. So if you don't have student devices, but they do have access at home, they can do work at home. It doesn't have to be done like in your computer lab or anything like that, because as long as they have a web browser, they're able to access the content. So that is one big benefit of our platform is you can buy yourself a little bit of time by assigning classwork outside of class for them to complete.
And I will also plug while we're filling out the surveys, we do have another upcoming APCSA free PD experience. We are going to do an APCSA professional learning community. That'll meet probably about once a quarter, but the kickoff is going to be next Wednesday, September 17th at 6 p.m. Central. If you want to join and talk more with fellow CSA teachers, we'd love to have you. You can RSVP at codehs.com/pd/free. That link is in the slides. I'll add that to the chat as well too. But if you are interested, we would love to have you join. It is a free PD experience. If you would like to join our APCSA professional learning community and have a little more interactive time networking with fellow APCSA teachers as well. At that link, you can also always find upcoming free PDs. I know there's always a lot of AP overlap too. So if you teach CSP, we have a similar webinar to this one coming up next week on Tuesday. Plus, we also have a PLC for AP CSP that I'll plug as well too. And again, if you're interested in bringing CodeHS to your school or district, you can learn more on our platform. And that brings into the slideshow. And heartfelt thank you from myself and Christopher for spending your afternoon with us. It was a great talking to you all about Cortado. You had some great questions, and let us know if there's anything else we can do. And we look forward to your successes this year.
Have a good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. We again look forward to you all teaching Cortado this year.